Matt, your top thoughts on these earnings today?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the capex guide, which has been narrowed to the top end of the range, not surprising because everybody's just throwing more money at this opportunity. And again, probably the upgrade to the revenue outlooks are now mid 30% in US dollar terms. Again, maybe not a surprise, but there's definitely some catch-up for analysts to do there, and an optimistic outlook for the year ahead. And, you know, interestingly, on the call that didn't finish too long ago, much of the Q&A was more about the kind of AI opportunity, rather than historically where you beat people trying to kind of understand what's the demand for the latest iPhone or the kind of, you know, the next big kind of chip driver. Much more about the opportunity.
And they clearly see the opportunities being big, but are they? Like, the pace of this thing is moving like a freight train. Like, what do they see in terms of the sustainability?
Yeah, I think in the near term they see you know, a very robust sustainability of this because you know, we're still at that kind of developmental stage where people are building the platforms and the capacity to hopefully one day kind of be met by all of the demand. So I think even, obviously there's some question marks about the China situation from a number of different angles, the constraints about selling technology into that market, China's constraints on rare earth materials and whether that creates a new supply chain glitch for companies like TSMC. But they seem very optimistic that even without China, there's still very robust demand for their platforms. And obviously we heard similar things from ASML yesterday too.
Yeah, because we're always asking for an expert to try and put the food chain together for us of how those rare earth export controls are going to filter through and damage this market. Where does TSMC fit into that? And also, if they're putting money into factories in the US, how can they protect themselves from that?
It's a good question. I mean, they're clearly going to be impacted, like everybody else. I mean, even ASML yesterday said that they're going to be constrained if there were raw earth materials supply constraints from China. I think that's going to affect everybody. And, you know, obviously every Western country is rushing to try and find alternative sources for some of those materials. I mean, the US situation is kind of fairly complex for TSMC. You'll see one thing that came up on the call was the rivalry with Intel. See a lot of money going into Intel as an alternative foundry provider, both in the US. Now, TSMC is investing in their own US capability, but they're also going to continue to invest in Taiwan too. So I think that they're going to be investing as much as they can to maintain their lead over people like Intel. I mean, they're over 50% of the overall foundry market right now, and spending money to kind of protect that dominance.